Welcome to Sultan's Game, a narrative card game inspired by the 1001 Nights book. I couldn't find much on the developer or publisher of this title. What I could find is that this title was developed by Double Cross Studios in China. Sultan's Game was a successful crowdfunded project, alleged to have received over 500,000 Chinese yuan in only 10 minutes, and raising over $1 million in its first 24 hours after going live, according to GamesPress.com. It contains randomized events, with only some being stagnant in certain positions to keep the regular narrative going. No two runs are necessarily the same, though you may draw a comical run of card exchanges just to wind up with the same one you initially started with. The story goes that a bewitching magician presents a barbaric game to the already barbaric Sultan, who has grown bored of his court and lack of excitement in daily life. These cards involve carnal desires, conquest, extravagance, and bloodshed. The Sultan runs through every card in his deck and presents it, under recommendation of the magician, to be played as a challenge to someone else, that person being our protagonist, whose default name is Arzu. You do find a Zizos in another eventual card while you play, or in the purchasable section. Each set of cards has 4 different tiers, and these need to match your target, unless that target is a tier or multiple higher than the card being used. For example, you can use a stone card on a bronze target, but you wouldn't be able to use a gold card on said bronze tier target, as it's a higher rank than them. The journey can start off innocently enough, or have the unfortunate case of ending early due to poor card draws. You can exchange your cards a grand total of 4 times before needing to wait several days to redraw. Time spent waiting will extend to 7 days after a while. 7 days is the total limit granted to use your cards before execution if you fail to do so. There is a redemption event you can avail of up to 3 times, allowing you to reset your timer for another 7 days in order to get a chance to use your currently drawn card. Card exchanges won't reset your timer, I tried. Forfeiting is also an option in your menu just in case. For gameplay, cards and text are all you'll see. Match up whichever cards you want, but do be mindful of endgame events, they won't all be gold leaf. Depending on the card drawn and available opportunities, you might wind up slaughtering orphans during a charity event, do it with the stranger in front of a live audience inside the Sultan's palace, or with your sworn enemy, just for him to sabotage you later on. The success of him doing so left to dice rolls. I failed every single one, so I never found where the gas leak came from. Some options are genuinely depraved. It's only a given with a title of Sultan's Game. I'll let you figure that one out if you want to. The game does retain some class in that none of the events are ever shown, only described through text on screen. There's even a streamer mode just in case you're worried about what might happen. I personally left this off as I wanted to get the full experience. Another thing to watch out for is if you sleep with another woman, you can expect your wife's resentment. These will be cards and will build up to a crescendo if allowed. If you off a Lady of the Night, you may face the wrath of at least one previously employable character. Find out an ex-employee stole from you, you could always let him go, or just turn him into an example. The more notoriety and infamy you gain on your travels thanks to your choices, the more likely you are to encounter assassins, rogues, and more visiting your doorstep. If you don't visit a sultan often, the court's gossiping will cause slander accusations to pile up. Get too many of these and not only does your influence fall, but the Sultan may make you perform unreasonable tasks or ask you to pay up for forgiveness. Even if you do show face, expect the Sultan to expect things from you. You'll also be buying books to open gateways to new events. Alternatively, visit a bookstore without any money and chat with other customers. Earning money is done through maintaining your estate. However, people will have to want to come and visit, hence why keeping up appearances is important. Influence can still increase depending on Lady Luck, randomized events, and side quests. There are various ways of using up Sultan's cards, the name of your pull cards, but they won't work in the same way forever. You need to get creative to burn them up. Aside from cards, some events will call for a dice roll. Fail a roll? Well, you have 3 gold dice on hand to increase the results by 1. So if an event needs at least 2 successes for a positive outcome, and you roll a 1, adding a gold dice will relieve you of consequences. Certain cards can be used in the Sultan's court, though it took me a bit to figure out how to do so, as the tutorial doesn't seem to carry over properly for some reason. Maybe it was a translation issue or human error, but repeating the same steps didn't have the intended effect. The Sultan refused to allow a stone tier bloodshed card on a stone tier slave, and stone tiers in my experiences as a representative card for Arzu wasn't allowed entry into the court, so in the tutorial it didn't have any hitches, and I'm not really sure what I did wrong yet. Your first few runs will carry a sparse number of usable characters, gradually increasing the more you play. And through purchasable upgrades and playable cards in Fate's Ledger, you can begin with a useful party. You can accumulate cards by playing and discovering little achievements. The more points you get, the more followers you'll start the game with, and even unlock extra abilities and items. On a viable run, I decided to try and tackle the Sultan with the Gold Conquest card. I quickly found out that he had a whole army prepared to battle in a few short days, and my party had precisely 0 available fighters. One of my fair-weather allies decided to remain loyal to the Sultan and left the party. My rebellion was over before it even started. Despite failure, depending on how many cards were used and other achievements accumulated during a playthrough, you'll find those little +1s you spot throughout are actually currency to later spend in the shop via the main menu. And this is what I mentioned earlier. Use capitalism to buy your way to higher chances of winning the Sultan's game. I now find that runs don't die so early with my fair-weather friend poet and upgraded wife, and make sure to lend a book to the girl who comes asking for one. You'll get a new ally out of it. She can learn all of the magic, all of the survival, and much more. Maybe the girl will even survive fighting the bear. The aesthetics of Sultan's game is evidently Eastern and very pretty, carrying a whimsical and airy character design even for the animals. The colour palette is very complementary, with golds, blacks, whites, reds, and browns. The red tablecloth comes alive with new and well-tread domains to visit and maintain, each carrying their own unique backdrop and designs. From hound racing to haunted houses and sewers. 3D elements are included through the use of dice and when pulling another card. The magician flows wonderfully fluid in her animations, and when using her cards, you're greeted with a full screen animation special to the version of card you used. There are around 3 particular tracks you'll hear often: bell chimes, the standard overworld track, and an ominous one that plays when time is running out for either yourself or an event somewhere. Bells will ring as you move your cursor over your stats, on top of your screen, and other little areas. There may be layering, and it all comes together quite harmoniously. There isn't a huge range of tracks, and a playthrough can extend for multiple hours, so keep that in mind. My main complaints about the game are typos in the text, maybe some grammatical issues, maybe not being able to grasp some instructions properly, so some extra tips or general information on each card tier would be helpful. There is currently a glitch that removed all of my fate points and turned my options menu into a couple lines of Chinese text. I'm not sure what happened there, but it can happen. Some kind of system to sort cards would greatly benefit the game. Right now they're all currently spread out in a single line. If you have a lot of cards, things can easily get lost and it may impact certain events because you either forgot the card was there or couldn't find it amongst the rest. And lastly, I just disagree with not being able to use a conquest card in a situation that seemed very appropriate for it. The devs simply didn't feel the same way about it for some reason. Other than that, this is a fairly well-polished game and it has a lot of content packed in. In the end, you can be pious, downright evil, or sprinkled with just enough chaotic neutrality to not look so revolting in the eyes of your archenemy. You might be rewarded and find it easier to run down a darker path, but fighting to maintain morals isn't something I've experienced in this particular fashion before. Sultan's game isn't the simplest card game to run through, so expect multiple failed attempts before winning in one of many ways. Or you could always just run away with your beloved wife and discover a new way of life with her help. It's all up to you. And despite the less than savoury aspects of the game, you'll likely find another way to avoid execution day. I'd recommend giving this game a shot if you have even a passing interest in this title. It's addictive, and I'm still having fun playing in different ways. I'm just not sure I can justify the current asking price, so maybe pick it up on sale if you're on a budget. All in all, thank you for watching, and consider becoming a member of the channel, or checking out my Patreon where you get a series of benefits if you want. Until next time, bye.